Good, and you?
How are you?
How are you? Good, how are you?
Thank you. Old today.
I said tomorrow, shall we? I'm meeting you guys soon.
Can you imagine? All right, the biggest news of the day. I'm a grandparent.
Oh, congratulations.
Declan Yates.
Today?
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Oh, awesome. Congrats.
9 pounds.
Oh, good boy.
I know. He's going to be shaving next week.
Big boy.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
know. Kara, did you hear? I'm a grandmother. I know. Declan Yates.
I knew it was happening. I didn't make pictures. Oh, squishy.
Shaving next week.
Oh,
Big boy.
I know. He's going to be shaving next week. Kara, did you hear? I'm a grandmother. I know. Wednesday. We go up
I was going to
Thursday.
say, when are you leaving?
Well,
I'm amazed she's
I'm
still here.
surprised you're here.
her mom is with her.
Okay.
So I just, stay in your lane.
That'll end eventually.
That is very
No, it
respectful.
never will with these two.
You kidding?
No.
That's, I know they appreciate that.
I know, we are so excited. So we'll be cooking and doing
Is this
all.
first?
Yes.
I wish you the best.
Oh, thank you. We are so good. See if I can find a picture of.
My granddaughter, who's now 24, calls my wife
Hey,
every
Dan,
day on her way home from
Is
work.
Mac expected to be here?
That is the relationship we wish I had.
Yeah.
Our attorney.
They are so over the moon. They're so cute. Sorry. Stop talking for you.
Hello, lady.
I'm a grandmother.
Excellent.
I know. I can hardly stand it. There he is.
Where is he?
Boston.
Okay, not too bad. Direct flights.
Direct flights.
Yeah.
The tardy one.
Well, congratulations.
Been grinning for 2 days now.
Oh my gosh.
4 days.
Well, what happened was we had been invited to a military retirement.
Yeah.
So we were at Fort Campbell. And she went 5 days early. So we never thought she'd be early for her first one. So
No, they never.
I know. So we accepted that. And then she had the baby.
No.
So yeah,
I wish her health.
I do too.
The rest of it's garbage.
I just kept, like, when he told me he was free, I don't think Tim had any idea how painful it was about his wife. I mean, she's tiny.
I had a friend in college. First baby was 11 and a half.
Oh my God.
She was in the hospital for 3 months. Really torn up. Spends the nights with her, impregnates her in the hospital.
Oh my God.
So 12 months after the first one, she has twins. Lord knows, they wanted to tie her tubes up. 12 pounds. They had 4 high chairs set up in their kitchen, and they had
Dan, are you okay if we start?
I just saw Mac walk in, so
Oh,
we'll,
he's coming? Okay.
yeah, we'll give him a minute to get in here.
an office chair, and she'd feed, slide,
Mac,
feed.
how are you?
It's the funniest thing ever. So they had 4 high chairs set up in their kitchen. Kids were all
Dan, are you okay if we start?
I just saw Mac walk in, so we'll,
He's coming? Okay.
yeah, we'll give him a minute to
All set?
get in here.
office chair, and she'd feed, slide.
Mac,
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19th, 2025 meeting of
I just saw Mac walk in, so we'll,
Frank Cassidy, the board.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
give him a minute
In
to
addition
get
to
in here.
myself, members hearing the case today.
Mac.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19th, 2025 meeting of
I just saw Mac walk in,
staff
so
member
we'll,
Frank Cassidy, the board.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
give him a
In
minute to
addition to
get in here.
myself and members hearing the case today.
Mac.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19th, 2025 meeting of
I just saw Mac walk in,
staff
so
member
we'll,
Frank Cassidy, the board.
yeah, we'll
Okay.
give him a minute
In
to
addition
get
to
in here.
myself and members hearing the case today.
Mac.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19th, 2025 meeting of
I just saw Mac walk in,
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19, 2025 Bill Adams meeting of the
I just saw Mac walk in.
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19, 2025 Bill Adams meeting of the
I just saw Mac walk in.
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19, 2025 Bill Adams meeting of the
I just saw Mac walk in.
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19, 2025 Bill Adams meeting of the
I just saw Mac walk in.
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19, 2025 Bill Adams meeting of the
I just saw Mac walk in.
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 19, 2025 Bill Adams meeting of the
I just saw Mac walk in.
Staff met with Frank Cassidy, the board executive, in addition to myself and members here in the case today. Simple majority vote of the quorum present is required to grant a variance or to overturn the decision of the zoning administrator in an appeal or to grant a special exception. Because today's hearing is a public fact-finding meeting, we are in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act and SC Code 6-29-70. 15 days prior to this hearing, an announcement was printed in the Post and Courier. A sign was posted on or near the designated properties, and a notice was mailed to the applicants or representatives and to residents within 500 feet of the applications and to parties of interest. Persons, organizations, and the news media that have requested declaration of our meeting have been notified. The Freedom of Information Act does not require notification of anyone other than the applicant and the parties of interest. Our purpose today is for interested parties to be heard in order to assist the board in gathering evidence pertinent to each case. If the members of the BZA feel the need for further information to clarify a case, the board has the authority to subpoena witnesses. In addition to your testimony, our board has been presented written information submitted to the staff by the applicant or their agent for each case. This information is now considered evidence and is entered into the permanent record of this body. It is assumed that it is complete, true, and accurate. Also, we've been presented data assembled by the staff for the purpose of clarifying location and the effect on surrounding property. Our board is empowered to approve with conditions, or to deny your requests. In granting a variance, the Board of Zoning Appeals may attach to it such conditions regarding the location, character, or other features of the proposed building, structure, or use as the board may consider advisable to protect established property values in the surrounding area or to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare. We are also authorized to defer a case should there be a need to obtain additional information. If an applicant's request is approved for a special exception, a variance, or an appeal of a decision by the zoning administrator, they must go to the town of Keo Island to apply for permits. Variances and special exceptions granted by the BZA are valid for 12 months after this meeting. However, if an applicant's request is disapproved and they wish to appeal the decision of this board concerning their case, appeals must be addressed to the circuit court. SC Code 6-29-820 states that the appeal must be filed by the applicant within 30 days after the decision of the board is mailed to them. Failure to file an appeal within the time frame deprives the court of the jurisdiction to hear the matter. For each case, staff will present information, and the applicant will present their case, and we'll hear from others who wish to speak. Be reminded to direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or other speakers. To expedite this meeting, I'd ask at this point that all persons who intend to speak today on any of the cases stand, and Mac will administer the oath.
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac. I shall now call our first case, which is BZA 25-000006 at 40 Burroughs Hall. First, we'll hear from staff, then the applicant, and then others, if any. All speakers should come to the podium, state your name and current address for the record before presenting testimony. I'll limit comments to the public by the public to 3 minutes, and the applicant will have a chance for rebuttal if necessary. Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first case today is case number BZA 25-000006. The property location is 40 Burroughs Hall. The applicant, Noel Cade of Method of Design, Inc., represented by the property owners Jeffrey and Danielle Hensley, are requesting a variance for the reduction of the required 15-foot side setback and required 30-foot rear setback for approximately 179 square feet. TMS number is 264-02-00-058. Property is located within the R1 zoning district, and the lot size is 7,745 square feet, of which 7,720 is Highlands and 25 square feet is Marshlands. The Town of Kiawah Island Land Use Planning and Zoning Ordinance, pursuant to Section 1265, requires a 25-foot front yard setback, a 15-foot side yard setback, and a 30-foot rear setback. The maximum lot coverage allowed is 40%. Yeah. Get the mic higher. Here's a zoning view of the property, subject property. The adjacent properties to the east, west, and to the south along Burroughs Hall are located in the R1 residential zoning district, and the marsh is located to the north. Here's a Charleston County GIS aerial view. The applicant's proposed plans include construction of a single-family residence. Proposed plans include an uncovered staircase encroaching into the required 25-foot front setback. Specifically, the uncovered stairs are extending approximately 2.3 feet into the front setback, which falls within the allowable 5-foot administrative setback. The total area of encroachment by the stairs is approximately 9 square feet. The plans also include encroachment into the required 15-foot right side setback on the eastern side of the property. An open deck is proposed to encroach approximately 2 feet into the right side setback. That total encroachment is approximately 7 square feet. And that's illustrated in front of you in the light pinkish color. Also, a spa is proposed to encroach approximately 3.4 feet into the side setback. That total encroachment is approximately 20 square feet. The combined area of side setback encroachment is approximately 27 square feet. The Proposed plans also include a covered porch, a portion of which is cantilevered, that extends approximately 8 feet into the rear setback. This portion results in an estimated encroachment of 74 square feet. In addition, the proposed pool extends approximately 6.7 feet into the rear setback, resulting in an encroachment of approximately 78 square feet. The total encroachment into the rear setback, combining the covered porch and pool, is approximately 152 square feet. This property does contain a BCM critical line which was certified on April 24th, 2024. The applicant has submitted to the Kiwa Island Architectural Review Board and was granted approval for encroachment into the rear and front setback on March 26th, 2025. The KIARB stated, quote, "Given compression of the lot towards the rear and adjustments made by the team to minimize the extent, the ARB approves the variance shown for corners of the pool and spa at the rear and left side of the property." A site visit was conducted on May 2nd, 2025, and here are a few pictures. Again, this lot is undeveloped currently. We'll move on to the variance approval criteria. Criteria A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. There may be extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the property due to the unique pie shape of the lot and the 37-inch grand oak located at the front of the property. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "This lot is nearly half the size of the average lots in the vicinity out of 178 lots. It's also one of the only 2 lots in the area that is this small and has an acute angle at the rear, making the buildable area a difficult shape to develop." Criteria B, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. These conditions may be unique to the subject property and may not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Property is located in the R1 residential zoning district. Adjacent properties along Burroughs Hall are also located in the R1 residential zoning district. The existing structure currently under construction, which sits adjacent to the subject property to the west, has similar encroachments based on the current setback standards. The adjacent property to the west, which is located at 39 Burroughs Hall, received BZA approval for a setback variance July 15th of 2024. And that encroachment was approximately 189 square feet. Other existing structures in the vicinity may or may not have similar encroachments based on current setback standards. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property." Criteria C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. While the ordinance does not prohibit development of the property outright, the specific site constraints, including the grand oak and irregular shape and lot irregular shape, create challenges that may unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "These conditions would not be prohibited, but they do unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property due to the location of the grand oak tree and to the small size and triangular shape of the property." Criteria D, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties or the public good, and the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. The authorization of this variance may not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or the public good. The proposed additions encroach minimally into the required setbacks. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "This would not be of any detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district would not be harmed by the granting of this variance." The letters of approval from the ARB from conceptual to interim to preliminary approval indicate the board's agreement. Criteria E. Board of Zoning Appeals shall not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district, to extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or to change the zoning district boundaries shown in the official zoning map. Granting of this variance would not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in this zoning district, extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or change the zoning district boundaries. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "This would not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted, or extend existing non-conforming use, or change the boundaries on the zoning map." Criteria F, the fact that the property may be utilized more profitably should a variance be granted may not be considered grounds. BZA may not consider profitability when considering this variance request. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "Profitability is not the reason for this variance application." Criteria G, the need for this variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own actions. The need for the variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions. Per Charleston County records, the property was acquired by Jeffrey and Danielle Hensley on May 30th, 2024. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The applicant has not acted in any way to cause the need for this variance." Criteria H, the granting the variance will not be contrary to the public neighborhood interest, nor adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. Granting of this variance may not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interests, and may not adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. Per the applicant's letter of intent, this would not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, and would not interfere with the purposes of these regulations. The letters of approval from the ARB indicate the board's agreement. And criteria I, granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Granting of the variance may not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "This would not conflict with the comprehensive plan." This concludes staff's presentation. Do y'all have any questions about this application?
Thank you, Dan. Questions for Dan? Yes.
Under item 4B, compare this request to a previous decision this committee made on July 15, 2024, when you said we approved them without variances. What difference does that make? I was of the opinion that prior decisions here are not held against us or in favor of the applicant. So why is that in there?
Well, criteria B asks, let me get the exact one here. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity? And this states there may or may not be other conditions similar to this one and other properties in the vicinity.
Always going to be others that are different. So I just don't understand why the staff would include that when it's not a condition that we should consider. It's not in quotes as if they brought it up, so.
This is just the staff's interpretation of this requirement.
It's prejudice, I think, so.
Dan, I have a problem relative to response A, where you state the lot is nearly half the size of the average lot in the vicinity, 178 lots. But 178 is a heck of a sample, and it's not relevant to area specific. If you look, basically, there's an area of that, if I'm correct, is 25 lots. And of the 25 lots, approximately 12 of them, right, approximately 12 of them are basically similar in size. So it's relatively the same size as half the lots in its immediate vicinity. And I think the word immediate is a lot better than 178 lots, which extends way beyond the actual location of this lot. I worry if you add this lot and it is bounded on either side by several other lots of similar size, if you grant the variance to this lot, and then the next person comes, the next person comes, you're going to end up with alleyways between the houses rather than the setbacks that were designed to make sure that there was sufficient green space between every structure that's put up.
That comment about the 178 lots was said by the applicant, and so I can ask them to come up and respond if you'd like.
Dan, you didn't mention it, but I'd just like the board to note that the neighbors on both sides submitted supportive letters.
Yes, sir. I forgot to mention we have received 3 letters in support, and that was for 39 Burroughs Hall, which is on the left side, 38 Burroughs Hall.
Yeah, so we have support.
If you want to come up here.
I think we've only seen 2 of those 3 letters, haven't we?
Or just 2 letters.
We had 2 letters and a online response through our portal. I can show you all those here, and I can read it aloud too.
I saw 39 and 41. I haven't seen one for 38, I don't think.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Appreciate your time this afternoon. So to answer the question, we did receive letters from the couple at lot 39 and then lot 41 with support of our variance.
Are you going to speak for the applicant?
Yes, yes. So,
The floor, unless there are other questions for Dan.
okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Noelle Cade. I am the architect for Method of Design, and I'm here representing Jeffrey and Danielle Hensley. They purchased 40 Burroughs Hall to be their forever home at Kiowa for a family of 4. And so we have worked closely with Jeff and Danielle and their family since last May to design a permanent home at 40 Burroughs Hall. We've worked closely with the Architectural Review Board to come to a resolution of program and the lot conditions that Daniel Vincent has very eloquently shown on the screens. And we have had 4 review meetings with the ARB, and kind of with some back and forth that we do have the board's support to move forward with a final submittal once we have the variance approved by the town. And so on the, so I was going to talk.
Are you trying to get a site plan?
Yeah, the site plan, sorry. Okay. So I created this graphic to demonstrate the areas of encroachment On the right side of the property, the original covenants had a 15-foot setback, but currently today, a property zoned in R1 only has a 10-foot setback. So the two encroachments that we have with an open deck on the right side and the spa foundation in today's zoning would stay within that 10-foot setback. On the rear, we have been careful to design all of the outdoor amenities to take advantage of the nice views of the lot, but with the use of cantilevers on the porch to reduce the footprint of the impact crossing the rear setback, and then the size of the pool as well, again, to reduce the impact of the rear setback. The other really beautiful asset of this lot is that we have a 37-inch grand live oak tree that sits pretty much in the middle of our property and has a really nice, beautiful canopy. And so working with the ARB, we determined that it was better to do a side-loaded garage instead of any kind of front load to minimize the impact and be able to save that grand oak tree on the property. In addition, we have so most lots at Kiowa tend to be rectilinear in shape, but as Burroughs curves, this creates a taper towards the back of the property, and then with those side setbacks, it kind of creates pinch points towards the back side of the property. And so keeping a design that's rectilinear in shape, that's efficient overall, again, we worked closely with the ARB to minimize the impact on the sides, and then just cross at those moments on the rear that were small and minimal.
Questions for the applicant?
I just have a quick question. When I walked that part of the property, it was a little bit tough to get all the way to the back. Spider webs and everything else. How did you do any samples for that pool? Because you're so much closer to the water than this looks like. So is it stable enough to actually put, I'm assuming the pool is raised at deck level. So
Correct, that's right.
So
Yes.
did you do soil testing to make sure that everything would sufficiently carry the weight of that pool? Because you're just so close to the water and when we flood?
Absolutely. So, yeah, so our structural engineer will design, so we're not at that stage yet in the process, but when we do finish our construction documents, we will have an engineer that designs to the soils report, absolutely. We are in a limited wave action on this lot, and again, our engineer of record will design for all of the town requirements.
Well, I only asked this because I know when we had looked at the lot before, it was a little bit easier to get back there, and it was wet. So I just want to make sure that, you know, as you're going for this variance, that taken into consideration.
Absolutely, yes, yes.
Is any part of the pool going to be cantilevered?
No, sir.
What was the question?
Was any part of the pool going to be cantilevered?
And what are the dimensions of the pool?
The dimensions of the pool, let's see here. I don't have those dimensioned out, but they are approximately 20 by 12 for the pool, and the spa approximately 8 by 8.
Thank you.
Noel, the only other thing, I mean, sometimes you guys support with like ideas of what the landscaping is going to look like, because as I face the lot on the right-hand side, it looks like there's very little room for buffer, and there's a lot of tall existing trees, so there's a high canopy. But as I look at that, there's not a lot of lower privacy, and you're looking at putting a pool back there. And then if you look at the left-hand side, clearly that's new construction, so everything's like wide open. So have you guys also looked into that to make sure that there'll be enough privacy buffers on both sides of that home?
Absolutely. So when we get to that point with the ARB, we will have a landscape plan in our final submission. And I know that that will be a requirement of this variance as well, to have a landscape plan with the variance.
Okay.
And so again, we'll make sure we have plenty of buffering. And that was also a request by the homeowners at 41.
Okay, because sometimes when they do their presentation, they do a very generic landscape plan, so we can just see that you've already taken that into consideration. And that, I think always the scariest thing is people get to a point where they've built and they've taken landscape money out, and yet at a lot like this, it's so important that.
Absolutely, yes. And so our builder is with us today as well. And so she and I have worked together on building numerous homes, especially with our landscape architect of record, Hayward Townsend. He's very well versed in requirements. And then I think, as you all know as a board, at the end of construction, the ARB actually comes out and inspects one last time. And if there's any additional buffer material that's required, we will install that.
Okay, thank you, Noel.
Look at the possibility of reorienting the pool from, I'll go crazy, from this way.
I cannot hear you. Thank you.
Did you look at the possibility of reorienting the pool from this way to this way, where there's more depth to allow it relative to the position of the house on the deck?
Yes, sir, we did. We studied.
And perhaps put the spot to the side of the pool as opposed to the end, at which place the intrusion into the back area would be less.
We did study different ways to lay out the rear and felt this met the ARB's requirements as well as the homeowner's requirements for function and program.
Other questions for the applicant? Yes, Stan.
I forgot to add, should the Board of Zoning Appeals consider approval, the planning staff requests the following conditions. Condition number 1 is the applicant shall submit a landscape plan providing appropriate screening for all areas of encroachment, like she mentioned before. And the second is the applicant shall obtain an as-built survey upon completion of construction to verify all encroachments are consistent with the plans.
If you hadn't mentioned that, I would have. If there are no further questions, I'd entertain any motions that anyone would care to make.
Move that we grant the variance subject to the conditions enumerated.
I'll second that motion. Is there further discussion? I just note, I understand Ben's point about 39 Burroughs Hall. The facts are virtually identical, which
It's not a consideration.
I understand it's not a
I'm
consideration.
just saying, I'm only questioning the write-up. I'm not questioning the situation. I'm only questioning the write-up and why it was put in.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, then we'll vote. This is a vote to approve the variance request. Larry?
No.
Lynn?
Yes.
Morris?
Approve, yes.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ben, yes, and Frank, yes. So the vote is 5-1 for approval. The variance is approved. And I think the reasoning is because of the extraordinary and exceptional conditions of the lot, the pie shape, and the live oak towards the front of the property. With that, we'll move to the next case. Call the next case, which is BZA 25-000-007 at 240 Glen Abbey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Dan, it's all yours.
Thanks. Give me 1 second to pull up our PowerPoint. Our second case being presented today is case number BZA 25-000007. The property is located at 240 Glen Abbey. The applicant property owner, 240 Glen Abbey Associates, being represented by Tommy Manuel, is requesting a variance for the reduction of the required 30-foot rear setback by approximately 227 square feet for a proposed screen porch enclosure. TMS number is 264-1400091. This property is located in the R1 zoning district, and the total lot size is 14,983 square feet. Pursuant to section 1265, R1 residential district, this subject property is subject to a 25-foot front yard setback, a 15-foot side yard setback, and a 30-foot rear setback. The maximum lot coverage allowed is 33%. This subject property is constructed upon and is legally non-conforming to current zoning regulations regarding setbacks. This property was acquired by 240 Glen Abbey Associates in 1984, and per Charleston County records, the home was constructed in 1984. Adjacent properties to the east, then to the west and the south across Glen Abbey are located in the R1 zoning district, and Turtle Point Golf Course is located to the north. Here's a Charleston County GIS aerial view. Staff took a site visit on May 2nd, 2025, and here are a few pictures. This is the front of the property. Adjacent properties across the street. The neighboring properties. And the subject property is this open deck located at the rear. Here's a rear view looking out into Turtle Point Golf Course. The applicant's proposed plans include enclosing the existing open deck for a screened-in porch. The existing lot coverage is approximately 33.7%. The proposed plans will not alter the footprint of the residence. Pursuant to the Town of Kiowa Island's Land Use Planning and Zoning Ordinance, Section 1264 setbacks, it allows for uncovered decks to extend up to 5 feet into any required rear yard setback. The existing open deck is encroaching approximately 11.2 feet into the required 30-foot setback, which is approximately 6.2 feet further than the allowable 5-foot administrative relief. The proposed screen porch will maintain the same 11.2 foot encroachment as the existing open deck into the required 30-foot rear setback. The proposed lot coverage is 33.7%. The existing lot coverage is 5,049.9 square feet, and which is 33.7%. the applicant has submitted to Kiawah Island Architectural Review Board. The KIARB granted conditional approval on April 6, 2025, stating, quote, significant trees both in front and the sides of the property compress the buildable area and originally pushed the house to the rear of the lot. Given this condition, the variance to increase the rear setback encroachment was approved. The porch addition and the footprint of the existing deck is approved to continue to the permit submittal. We'll move on to the variance approval criteria. Criteria A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. There may be extraordinary and exceptional conditions on this property. The subject property is legally non-conforming in regards to setbacks. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, we contended that the extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property are the result of two factors. Number one, the original zoning and contemporaneous practice of allowing decks to extend beyond rear setback. And number two, the presence of mature trees at the front and right side of the property that are believed to have contributed to the optimal placement of the home on the lot. Criteria B, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. These properties may be unique to the subject property and may not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. The property is located in the R1 residential zoning district. Adjacent properties along Glen Abbey are also located in the R1 zoning district. Existing structures in the vicinity may or may not have similar encroachments based on setback standards. Per the applicant's letter of intent, we contend that there are not exclusive to this property. These conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. Criteria C, because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The application of this ordinance to the property may prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property. Property is considered non-conforming in regards to setbacks. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, we contend that the application of this ordinance to the particular property would effectively prohibit and unreasonably restrict the improvement and continued utilization of this property. Criteria D, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties or the public good, and the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. The authorization of this variance may not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or the public good. The proposed additions do not increase the footprint of the existing nonconformity. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, we contend that the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties or the public good, and the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. We base contention on three key factors. Number one, the proposed improvement will occupy the existing footprint and will be modest in scale and appropriate to the massing and architectural expression of the home. Number two, the presence of substantial canopy trees at the rear, both on the abutting golf course and the property itself. And number three, our desire to supplement the property's existing vegetation with landscaping that both enhances and provides additional screening from adjacent properties. Criteria E, the BZA shall not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district to extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or to change the zoning district boundaries shown in the official zoning map. Granting of this variance would not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or change the zoning district boundaries. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "We contend that the granting of this variance request will not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in this zoning district. As such, uses are generally permissible, nor physically extend a non-conforming use of land as we seek to lessen an existing non-conforming encroachment, nor changing the zoning district boundaries shown on the official zoning map." Criteria F, the fact that the property may be utilized more profitably should a variance be granted may not be considered grounds for a variance. The BZA may not consider profitability when considering this variance request. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "We contend that any profitable utilization of the property is not grounds for this variance request." Criteria G, the need for this variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own actions. The need for this variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "We contend that any profitable utilization of the property is not grounds for this variance." Criteria G, the need for this variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own actions. The need for the variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions. We contend that the need for the variance is not the result of the applicant's own actions, but rather to exist the legally non-conforming conditions. Criteria H, granting the variance will not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, nor will not adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. Granting of this variance may not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, may not adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. The proposed variance reduces the existing deck's encroachment beyond the setback. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "We contend that the variance would not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interests. Additionally, nor will it adversely affect other properties in the vicinity due to the proposed reduction in existing encroachment into the rear setback. The existence of substantial vegetation and the owner's desire to supplement with the additional multi-layered evergreen landscaping, which we contend is aligned with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations." Criteria I, granting of this variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Granting of this variance may not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "We contend that the variance does not substantially conflict with the town's comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance, which aim to create a balanced, dynamic, vibrant community that addresses the needs of its aging full-time population and the diverse part-time and visitor demographics." The BZA may approve with conditions, or deny case number BZA 25-000007. Should the BZA consider approval of this variance request, planning staff requests the following conditions of approval. That is, the applicant shall provide a landscape plan showing adequate buffering between the proposed screen porch and the golf course. That concludes staff's presentation, and I'd like to entertain any questions from the board.
And under H, you say that proposed variance reduces the existing deck's encroachment beyond the setback. I was under the impression that this thing had the same footprint. Could you show me where it's reduced?
So this was a mistake in the staff's review. We did get this application in 2 months ago where it was a reduction, but this currently is no reduction. So that is a mistake on staff's part.
Okay. So it's the exact same footprint.
That's correct.
Other questions for Dan?
Yes. Okay. I object a lot of wording in both C and G. C, the application of the ordinance's particular property would effectively prohibit and unreasonably restrict the improvement and continued utilization of the property. I don't buy that in any degree at all. All they're doing is increasing the appearance of something that is already over a zoning line. They are not in any way, shape, or form, if it is denied, they're not restricted in any way, shape, or form. They're using what they still have, and they've been using it successfully for a while. As for G, need for the variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions. If they weren't going to change it, it's 100% based on their actions of trying to change and screen in an open porch. And if they weren't doing that, they wouldn't be here. So both of those things are blatantly false.
Ask the applicant to address those comments. Any other questions for Dan? Hearing none, I gather Mr. Manuel is on the phone?
We have Tommy Manuel and the representative, or the property owner of 240 Glen Abbey on Zoom. We'll see if we can get them. Manuel and the representative, or the property owner of 240 Glen Abbey on Zoom. We'll see if we can get them. Manuel and the representative, or the property owner of 240 Glen Abbey on Zoom. We'll see if we can get them. Manuel. Technical difficulties.
Go ahead and talk to us after the transfer.
So I'm representative. It's a bit of an eyesore and it needs to be redone. Ways, doors, swings, and access, and to get out the side doors to go down the stairs to access the backyard, take a certain amount of room, and we need room for furniture.
Sorry. Swear you in real quick before we get. Yes.
Okay.
We'll get Mac to swear you in.
So you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
You could restart that. That'd be great.
So the reason why we're doing this is because we've done some internal revisions in the past, which took up time and resources and everything else, and we couldn't do the outside at the same time. And now we're looking to do that. Our back deck is a bit of an eyesore. We're embarrassed by it. We really would like to make it nicer and the appearance of it. And our house is kind of unique in that there's no one behind us that can see us. And the two houses on both sides, the way the golf course kind of bends, they can't see us either. And I've gone to both of those houses and asked them if they have any problems with anything that we're planning to do. We showed them plans. Both of them are fine with it. Both of them encourage you all to call them if you had any questions about, their happiness with the project. They didn't really have time to write letters. I didn't want to inconvenience them, but they were both fine with it. So no one can see us. And the size of that room is a giant factor for us because the ways the doors swing in order for us to have access to go out through the back deck on the sides of this room, what we were kind of approved to do was such a small room, it wasn't functional. And all we're asking for is just the imprint or the footprint of the current deck. Trees would not be affected at all. Nothing is impacted as far as the surroundings. If we were to build out to the one side of the house, which we're allowed to do with the setbacks, multiple large trees would have to come down, which we also didn't want to do. So we just thought that this is a win-win. If we're allowed to do this, no one can see it. And I know several of you at least have been out there to look at it. And if you go out to the golf course, we're kind of so far from the golf course that the deck looks like it's 6-8 feet anyways, so it's not like it's encroaching anywhere onto the golf course or the view of the golf course or any kind of obstruction. The way we sit back further from the golf course than the other houses, and we were forced to go back years ago when the house was built because of some large trees in the front of the house, so they pushed us back. So it really affected our posterior setback by the pushback we've had in the past, and obviously none of us had control over that. So considering that pushback, our goal to not disturb other trees on the property, to not extend it, to impact environmentally anything else, doesn't impact their neighbors, doesn't impact the golf course. All we're asking for is the same footprint to put a really nice room that is up to Kiowa standards, has great facade to it, has, up-to-date hard, woodwork, and we could take down our tattered deck and make a really nice asset to the house and the community both.
Questions for the applicant? Yes. And
You used the term, you described it as a room. You had all the write-up described as a screened-in porch. Can you tell me more about this room? Is it heated? What's in the floor? What's the flooring? Is it all screen or is it windows with some screens on them?
No, it's all screened. So it's essentially an outdoor room is what I would call it, our outdoor screen porch. But yeah, there's no windows. Everything's going to be ceiling to floor screened, and with nice pillars around it. And as you can see with the plans, a fireplace of some kind, modification, whatever. And that's it. Yeah, it's a screened room outside that's not heated or cooled, besides the ceiling fan.
I didn't understand everything you said, but is the space heated?
No, just a ceiling fan.
No, just screen.
All right, thank you.
No heat, no air.
Well, just one quick question. Obviously, you're putting a roof where no roof currently exists, right? And so what are the plans for sort of water runoff from that roof?
This is Tommy Emanuel, the architect. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback, but I'll push through here. We intend on guttering that new section of the roof as well. And there'll be foundation planning around the new screen porch to accommodate the landscaping upgrades as well as part of this project. I do want to point out too to everyone that, you know, there's a substantial amount of trees and significant trees on the golf course side too that increases the visual buffer from the tee boxes back there, I would say by about 20, 25 additional feet on top of the 30 feet setback that is currently in place. So to Kevin's point, it is going to be very well screened back there, and we are planning on doing a re-landscaping of the rear yard. We've included a graphic of that, of what that area, how that area would be handled, but we will be employing a landscape architect for those purposes.
Other questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain any motions that anyone would care to make.
I move that it be approved as it is.
Motion on the table to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? We'll vote. Larry?
I'm going to vote no again.
Lynn?
Yep.
Morris?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ben? Yes. Frank, yes. Okay, the variance is approved. I think primarily due to the fact that the footprint has not increased. And this is a modest addition. All right, thank you. We'll go on to the next.
It was a tough one, that house.
So I'll call BZA 25-000008 at 6 Bufflehead. Dan? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, my house is diagonally southeast of this. I am across the lagoon and across Flyway Drive, and there is a huge buffer of trees between Flyway and the lagoon, which, despite my complaint a year and a half ago in this room to the city, they refused to cut down. So we no longer have lagoon view, and try as I may, I was unable to even see this property from my house, but I'm still going to recuse myself.
Fair enough.
I think it's the way to go. I think it's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, Dan?
Thanks, Frank. Before I start, I'd like to say that we did receive one public comment regarding this case. It was from 5 Bufflehead Drive, and it was a letter supporting the variance. The applicant, property owner Mike and Caroline Harding, being represented by Paul Bowman of P.M. Bowman Architect, LLC, are requesting a variance for the reduction of the required 30-foot rear setback by approximately 480 square feet for a proposed screen porch enclosure located at 6 Bufflehead Drive. TMS number is 264-1100020. The property is located in the R1 residential zoning district, and the lot size is approximately 16,193 square feet, or 0.38 acres. Pursuant to the Town of Kiawah Island's land use planning and zoning ordinance, the required setbacks are a 25-foot front, 15-foot side, and a 30-foot rear setback. The maximum allowable lot coverage of the subject property is 33%. The subject property is legally non-conforming in regards to both setbacks and lot coverage. Here's a zoning aerial view of the property. Adjacent properties to the east, west, and south across Flyway are located in the R1 zoning district, and there is a lagoon located to the south. Here's a GIS aerial view of 6 Bufflehead. Staff took a site visit on May 2nd, 2025, and here are a few pictures. Here's the front of the property. Adjacent properties, neighbors. And the subject property has been taped off, and it is this section in pink. Here's the rear. The applicant's proposed plans include enclosing the existing open deck for a screened-in porch. The existing lot coverage is approximately 38.8%. The proposed plans will not alter the footprint of the residence. The existing open deck is encroaching approximately 15 feet 10 inches into the required 30-foot rear setback, which is approximately 10 feet 10 inches further than the 5-foot administrative relief. The proposed screened porch will maintain the same 480 square foot encroachment as the existing open deck into the required 30-foot rear setback. The proposed lot coverage is approximately 36%. The proposed plans also include a portion of a new staircase encroaching into the required rear setback and an adjustment to the driveway footprint. The applicant has submitted to the Kiawah Island Architectural Review Board for review. The KIARB granted conditional approval on April 1st, 2025, stating, quote, "The screened porch, new driveway, new front door, and the new spa are approved to continue to the permit submittal." Move on to the variance approval criteria. Criteria A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. There may be extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the piece of property. The subject property contains large oak trees in the front. Subject property is legally non-conforming in regards to setbacks and lot coverage. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The natural trees retained in the front present a natural buffer to the street and allow the home to be secluded visually from the street. This adds greatly to the streetscape and community ambience. The rear of the property screen porch improvement will sit within the current open rear deck footprint with a 4 square foot encroachment, smaller stair extension. The screen porch will feel original to the body of the home when it was originally built." Criteria B, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. These conditions may be unique to the subject property. Property is located in the R1 zoning district. Existing structures in the vicinity may or may not have similar encroachments based on current setbacks. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "Each individual property has special attributes in shape, size, and orientation." Criteria C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict utilization of the property. The application to the property may prohibit or unreasonably restrict the use of the property. The property is considered non-conforming in regards to setbacks and lot coverage. And per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "An unnecessary hardship is present when the general rear 30-foot setback is applied to the home today. The home is not of an unusual size. With the 30-foot rear setback applied, the existing home has a non-conforming area of both heated area and open deck area. The planned screen porch addition and the front yard driveway landscape reconfiguration will allow the home to remain within the allowable lot coverage and reduce the lot coverage by approximately 457 square feet or 2.7%. Criteria D, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent properties or the public good. And the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. The authorization of this variance may not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or the public good. The proposed additions reduce the lot coverage by approximately 2.7%. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, the residential character of the property is very secluded from the adjacent neighbors to the west and east sides. Visibility is also very well natively screened and heavily canopied by existing natural vegetation. There is nothing across the lagoon that has a direct line of sight to the proposed renovation. It should also be noted that this variance will not disturb the existing lagoon/pond edge. The visual impact will be minimal by the planned screen porch addition, end quote. Criteria E, the Board of Zoning Appeals shall not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district, extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or to change the zoning district boundaries shown in the official zoning map. Granting of this variance would not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted, extend a physically non-conforming use of land, or change the zoning district boundaries. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, the granting of this variance will not allow for a use not permitted by the ordinance. Criteria F, the fact that property may be utilized more profitably should a variance be granted may not be considered. The BZA may not consider profitability when considering this variance request. The property will not be used as a rental property. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, Mike and Caroline Harding desire to convert an open rear deck into a screened porch at their residence, which will be used as a family retreat. This residence will not be used as a rental property. Criteria G, the need for this variance shall not be the result of the applicant's own actions. The need of the variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, the owners purchased the property in its current form and had no prior involvement in the existing non-conforming encroachments now in place. Criteria H, granting of the variance will not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, nor will not adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. Granting of this variance may not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, may not adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, granting the variance will enhance the individual property and ultimately lead to an overall improvement of the community aesthetic and allow the overall improvement of and allow the owners to upgrade/maintain their property over time as is possible with adjacent properties that do not experience the particular unique natural hardship. And criteria I, granting of this variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Granting of this variance may not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. The comprehensive plan mentions, quote, low-density development that is being designed in harmony with nature is consistent with the vision statement, end quote. Which is located on page I-5 in the 2015 Town of Kiawah Islands Comprehensive Plan. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, granting the variance and relaxing the setback at the rear of the lot does not conflict with the comprehensive plan in this unique application. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve with conditions, or deny case number BZA 25-000008. And again, this is a variance request for the reduction of the required 30-foot rear setback by approximately 480 square feet for a proposed screened porch enclosure located at 6 Bufflehead. This concludes staff's presentation. I'd like to entertain any questions the board may have.
And I have the same question I had on the last one. That 2.7%, I thought this thing had the same footprint.
So if you look on your screen here,
Yes.
this is the existing site plan, and this should say proposed site plan. So there's no change in the building footprint on the site plan. The only thing changing is the driveway reconfiguration, which is that reduction, that 2.7% reduction.
Okay, so there's some mitigation due to what they did to the driveway.
Correct.
Other questions? Ken?
It may not apply to this, but as a point of education, as I was reading through the material for today, we have 2 screened-in porches that are being requested. And my question being, when does a screened-in porch become an addition to the house, another room to the house? And what determines that?
Why would it come before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance? Is that your question?
Pardon me?
Are you asking why this is coming in front of us?
It's a general question, because in each case I was kind of suspicious in saying, okay, you got a screened-in porch before, now you're going to enclose it. It's described as an enclosed. And is it more than screening when it becomes windows and walls and heated space? And I'm saying, at what point do we consider, or do you consider, that it's not a screened-in porch, it's really an addition to the house?
So due to we have a section in our ordinance 1264 in regards to setbacks that says open decks have a 5-foot administrative relief. So staff kind of considers this when we're reviewing applications, and back whenever this home was built, they may have considered this a larger than that 5-foot administrative relief. So if they're completely ditching the open deck and converting it with a anything covered, we consider that more of a non-conforming use, which therefore requires a variance.
So it makes no difference to us.
Okay.
And a screening porch. The impact on a screening porch, an enclosed porch, is much greater than an open deck. So if an applicant is converting an open deck to a screening porch, there's a vertical element to that design condition.
Can't understand you still, Daniel.
Is that John speaking?
We have John Taylor on the line.
You're a bit echoey. You're a little echoey.
Try speaking now, John.
Can you hear me better?
We zoomed in so then we can hear him.
We're trying to, we can't get anyone on the Zoom on the audio.
There is an echo in here.
listen to you and then just repeat what you say to the board. Yep. Okay. Yep. So John is kind of reiterating what I was saying. And saying that because it's an open deck and getting converted into a screen porch, adding that vertical point of the deck changes the home itself. It's not just a deck now; it's part of the home, and which is causing the change and the need for the variance. It's increasing the nonconformity of it, which is why we're considering it a need for the variance.
Is it increasing the nonconformity by the elimination of that 5 foot, 5.5 foot, whatever it is, administrative grace? Is that the difference?
Yeah, because that's for an open deck.
Right. So if you think about it, you're allowed that 5 feet, but since you're converting it into a screened-in porch, that 5 feet goes away. And so that's increasing your nonconformity.
So the extent of the nonconforming use will increase a little bit because you no longer have that 5 foot.
Because it's no longer a deck, you don't have that 5 foot grace.
Well, that has nothing to do with my question, but I appreciate the answer. The question being, what's the difference between a screened-in porch as described here versus a room that I'm adding in exactly the same footprint for our consideration?
In terms of the BZA, there's
nothing. Is that what you're saying?
There's
okay,
no.
That's all I wanted.
Would be different for the ARB, I guess.
ARB, everything's different with ARB.
Just not just this house, Daniel, but just in general. This just seems to be a large portion of, we've seen a lot of non-conforming homes during this visit today. Is it just that these homes were built so far long ago that nobody came back and checked them, and now new owners are just coming in and updating them? Are we going to just start to see more and more of this? And the question is, where does it stop?
These houses predate the current zoning code.
Frank is right in that these houses do predate our zoning ordinance, and a lot of houses built in the 80s and before were subject to ARB review. And so a lot of their setbacks, lot coverages were changed based on what the ARB said. So they've adjusted, and I can also defer to the applicant, and he can talk about the history of the home too.
I've forgotten, we haven't heard from the applicant yet.
Sorry.
Hi. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Paul Bowman. I'm the principal architect of PM Bowman Architect. And I'd like to thank the staff, first of all, for a thorough presentation and the information you put together. So to answer your question, oh yeah, could you show the whole site plan? Yeah. So another thing, like they were saying, this predates the existing zoning rules. Another thing that I noticed, okay, yeah, okay, back and forth. Another thing that's similar in this case and in the prior case is that in order to preserve some of the grand trees, specimen trees on the site, these homes were pushed back on the lot, quote unquote, so to speak. And that's one reason why you can see a main part of the home, heated part of the home is over the setback. And then both of those, almost 100% of those decks flanking on either side are pushed way back over the setback too. So that's another reason why.
So how are you going to deal with that oak tree that's in the middle of that deck that now you want to make a screened-in porch?
Yes, that's proposed to be removed.
It will be removed?
Yes, and that was agreed by the ARB. They approved removing that tree, removing those 3 trees back there, 2 others for construction.
And do you have to replace them?
Mitigating them, yes, but per the ARB guidelines.
Okay. With a little bit smaller tree.
Other questions for the applicant? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Could I say one more thing?
Sure.
I did bring a little visual aid here too. And I just wanted to show by this photograph that this is the only view corridor, I guess you could say, of the property. This is the only property, and it's on the right-hand side of the home that would be able to see our improvements, turning the deck into a screen porch. And so as you can see there, and I'm going to try and shoot this laser over there, this is the house, and the deck, as you can see here, is heavily screened. Can't even see the deck there. So if you could just imagine a screen porch going up there too, it's going to be completely screened from the neighboring property. So the property on the left-hand side, the heated portion of the home that sticks out, you cannot see the deck at all. You can't see the proposed screen porch. And then, of course, the lagoon in the back is completely screened. That's Flyway Drive in the back. And there'll be no view from the rear of the property either.
Paul, had you guys ever considered also eliminating the non-conforming part of the pink-purple deck?
Well,
I don't know what that's up against in the house. I mean, we weren't in the house, we just walked around it.
Right.
That good portion of that is non-conforming as well,
Correct.
to get less square footage for the variance.
Yes, well, we're not going for a lot coverage variance. And we
Right.
did reduce in the front by reorienting the driveway.
Right.
We came down to within that 33% lot coverage. Again, all we're proposing is to convert the one rear deck into a screen porch and being within the 33% lot coverage.
Anyone care to make a motion?
Move to grant the variance.
I'll second it.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Not, we'll vote. Lynn?
Yep, that's fine.
Morris?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Frank? Yes, so it's unanimous. The variance is approved because there's a change in the footprint other than 2.7% reduction due to the reorienting of the driveway. and the minimal impact on adjoining properties. Thank you, sir. Okay, courage, everyone. One more. BZA 25-000-009 at 14 Oyster Shell Road.
I'm back in the game.
Yes, we understand that.
Woo-woo.
Okay. Let me get this ready.
Bet you guys missed me.
We all good? Need a 5-minute break, or we keep going?
If it means anything, I'm still lobbying for lunch before the meeting like we had up in Statesville, North Carolina. They provide sandwiches and lemonade and tea before every meeting.
Okay, Dan, the floor is yours.
Okay. Last but not least, we have our last case of the day, case number BZA 25-000009. This is for variance request for the reduction of the required 20-foot BCM critical line left side setback and a 15-foot right side setback by approximately 80 feet for a new single-family home located at 14 Oyster Shell Road. The applicant is Julie O'Connor of American Vernacular, and they are representing the property owner, Michael Broadus? Barry Broadus. Okay. Subject property is located in the R1 zoning district. TMS number is 26501-00023. The required setbacks for this lot are located in the graphics section, and they're subject to a 60-foot front setback, a 20-foot side setback from the marsh, a 15-foot other side setback, and a 50-foot rear setback. The maximum lot coverage allowed is 33%. Adjacent properties to the east and west are also located in the R1 residential zoning district, and the critical line area is located to the north. Here's a GIS aerial view. Staff took a site visit on May 2nd, 2025, and captured a few photos. Again, this lot is currently undeveloped. So the applicant's proposed plans include a staircase extending approximately 4 feet 5 inches into the required 20-foot BCM critical line left side setback, resulting in an encroachment of approximately 27 square feet. Additionally, a portion of the residence extends approximately 2 feet 3 inches into the same setback, contributing an additional 7 square foot encroachment. That's located in the green and orange box to the north, northwest. On the right side, the plans indicate an encroachment of approximately 3 feet 3 inches into the required 15-foot side setback, and that total combined encroachment is approximately 80 square feet. That's the total right side setback encroachment is 46 square feet, and the total amount of encroachments are 80 square feet. The most recent survey for 14 Oyster Shell Road was signed and dated October 24th, 2022, which identifies a portion of the BCM critical line located north of the subject property. The applicant has submitted to the Kiwa Island Architectural Review Board, and the KIARB granted preliminary approval on April 4th, 2025. Regarding the approval criteria, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. There may be extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the property due to the unique shape of the lot and the unique setbacks required. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The size of the lot is very narrow. With the buildable width at 40 feet, the shape of the lot is atypical, with the frontage being significantly more narrow than the depth. There's an access easement that runs the entire depth of the property for access to 12 Oyster Shell Road that exacerbates the narrowness of the property. Criteria B, these conditions do not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. These conditions may be unique to the subject property and may not generally apply to other properties in the vicinity. The property is located in the R1 residential zoning district. Adjacent properties along Oyster Shell Road are also located in the R1 residential zoning district. Other existing structures in the vicinity may or may not have similar encroachments. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The setbacks are very different from other properties in the R1 zoning district. Typically, the front and rear setbacks are 25 feet and the sides are 10. On this lot, the front setback is 60 feet and the rear setback is 50 feet. The north side setback is 20 feet and the south side setback is 15 feet. Criteria C, because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The ordinance may not prohibit development of the property outright, but some specific site constraints, including irregular lot shape, create challenges that may unreasonably restrict the utilization. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The application of the ordinance unreasonably restricts the utilization of the property due to the fact that the north side setback is 20 feet and the south side setback is 15 feet, making the buildable area much more narrow than is typical. The area where we are requesting this variance is the most narrow, with both setbacks converging and one jaggedly entering into the buildable area." Criteria D, the authorization of this variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. The authorization of this variance may not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties or the public good. The proposed additions encroach minimally into the required setbacks. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The authorization of the south side setback will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent properties because it is not a buildable part of the lot and is simply a shared driveway. The authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed, as the house will not be visible from the south side and only visible when heading south on the Terrapin Island Bridge." Criteria E, the BZA shall not grant a variance, the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district, to extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or to change the zoning district boundaries shown on the official zoning map. Granting of this variance may not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, extend physically a non-conforming use of land, or change the zoning district boundaries. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, "The property will be used as a single-family residence." Criteria F, the fact that the property may be utilized more profitably should a variance be granted may not be considered grounds for a variance. The BZA may not consider profitability when considering this variance request. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, profitability is not a factor in this request. Criteria G, the need for the variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions. Per Charleston County records, the property was acquired on August 19th, 2022. Criteria H, granting the variance will not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, nor will not adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, or purposes of these regulations. Granting this variance may not be contrary to the public or neighborhood interest, may adversely affect other properties in the vicinity, nor interfere with the harmony, spirit, intent, and purposes of these regulations. The proposed residence includes minor encroachments into the required side setbacks. In criteria I, the granting of this variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Granting of the variance may not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. Per the applicant's letter of intent, quote, this request is for 2 very small encroachments on side setbacks that do not abut other buildable properties. The BZA may approve with conditions, or deny case number BZA 25-000009. And again, this is a variance request for the reduction of the required 20-foot BCM critical line left side setback and 15-foot right side setback by approximately 80 square feet for a proposed new single-family residence. Should the Board of Zoning Appeals consider approval of this variance request, planning staff requests these following conditions. Number 1, the applicant shall submit a landscape plan to be approved by the planning director, providing appropriate screening for all areas of encroachment prior to issuance to a zoning permit in any site construction. Number 2, the applicant shall obtain an as-built survey upon completion of the construction to verify that all encroachments are consistent with the proposed plans. And criteria C, condition C, condition 3, the applicant shall ensure silt fencing is to be installed at the preservation zone adjacent to the critical line to ensure the preservation zone is not disturbed during construction. Are there any questions from the board? Lynn?
Yeah, could you put the diagram of the site up again?
Yeah.
Moving from the top there, first of all, that green section, that's an open staircase, is it not?
Yes, sir.
So that's okay, is it not?
So open staircases are allowed to encroach into the required setbacks if it is to the building entrance. The applicant and I discussed this, and we agreed this was the back door to the property, which isn't considered an entrance.
So this is an encroachment,
Correct.
as is that orangey piece there.
Yep, that orange piece is just a small section of the home.
Same thing on the other side, the purplish piece.
Correct.
Is that a garage there?
No,
I'll defer to Julia for that
it's
one.
like a coffered ceiling.
Yeah.
Daniel, are you done?
Sure,
Can I
please.
ask you a question? Can you go back to where it shows the plots, like the neighborhood lots?
This one?
Yes, I guess that one. But there was one, I'm sorry.
Oh, the setback graphic?
Yes, no,
Okay.
I guess, is it this one?
Yeah, that's the setback graphic. I can pull that up on here.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
My point to this was just that when we look at that, when you bring it up,
That one.
this one, right. So it's sort of saying that, we're saying that per the applicant's letter, the setbacks are very different from other properties in the R1 zoning, typically the front rear setbacks. But it looks like those setbacks are exactly the same in Lot 12 that they're going to share a driveway with. Am I correct? So why would we say staff finds this, or is this just their answer to that question?
I'll defer to the applicant on that. Staff sees that this is a unique lot in the R1 residential zoning
And the
district.
lot right next door that already has a house has that same issue.
Except the driveway does not run all the way along the entire length of that.
You can see, except that, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Julie O'Connor. Hi, I'm the designer on this project. Yes, you are correct, but if you look at 12, let me show you. See this piece that's white is taken out of our property.
Okay.
But see, they don't have that.
They don't have that,
You
okay.
see, so theirs is wider because they
Okay.
don't have that drive that is that easement.
Oh, I see.
And then our setback is off of that.
Is off of that, okay.
Versus off of the property line, which which is wider. You see?
I do, now I see it.
that make
Yeah,
sense?
it does, I was just, when we said that, I was like, they're so similar.
I know.
Why are we saying they're different?
I know, exactly. Oh, thank you.
You'd care to say, Ms.
I mean, Daniel just steals our thunder up here. We don't get to say anything, which is great. So thank you. No, the only thing that I would add is that, again, this property is extremely unusual. It is quite heavily wooded as it engages with the cul-de-sac. So it really won't be visible at all from Oyster Shell. In fact, the house is about 80 feet from the edge of pavement. And there is no cut through it, as you can see, because that driveway has already been cut through. We are planning an increased amount of vegetation to be planted around that little small guest parking area as per the ARB requirements. So we are planning to even plant more heavily there. And of course, we would submit a landscape plan as Daniel suggested. And happy to answer any other questions.
Questions for Ms. O'Connor?
I have one, but Daniel, could you put up the proposed site plan, please, for her?
Oh, that's the wrong house.
That one, yes.
There we go.
Question is, the south.
Excuse me, Larry, I think you got to speak into the microphone.
Into the microphone, Larry.
Sorry. It's hard to look that way and do this.
I know.
I only have one eye, so. Anyway, what I see is the front of the property, the extension that faces the driveway where it's going to include, if I remember, the amount was 3.3 feet or 3 feet 3 inches.
At most, yes, because it's kind of jagged.
If I extrapolate just by looking at that, the room that it's taking from appears to be at least over 20 feet in depth, possibly more. And it's just an estimate because I didn't measure anything. My question is, did you simply look at reducing the wall, moving the wall 3 feet to the north, 3 feet, and that way you would not have that intrusion?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And we did. We sort of explored lots and lots of ways to not come here. As you know, you don't see me very much. I'm a rules follower. I don't like to ask for variances. This property, this is the main living room. This is the only living room in the house. And so it was important to have the right proportion and scale. And so we certainly did explore all kinds of ways to avoid this, but felt like it was a worthwhile request, particularly as in, when it comes to side setbacks, we certainly try to not ask for side setback variances, particularly because of our neighbors, and we don't want to encroach upon them. But in this case, it's on the driveway, the shared driveway, so it's not a buildable lot. So we felt like it was a worthwhile request.
How many total square feet is the house?
I think it's 3,900. something like that, 4,000? Oh, sorry, 4,000, 3,474 is the footprint, but there's a small section of
Right.
two-story on the right-hand side.
And the left side is all single
Left
story?
side is single-story.
Thank you very much.
Other questions? Motion?
I motion we approve the variance.
Gonna blow my image and second it.
The motion has been, we have a motion to approve and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Hey, Len, just to clarify, would you like to approve it with the conditions staff
Yeah, with the
recommended?
three
Yes, with the
conditions,
three conditions, yes, sir. Sorry.
Is that okay with you too, Larry? Okay. Larry,
Vote yes, but this is not going to become a habit.
Lynn,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
and Frank, yes, it's unanimous. It's approved primarily because these are very small variances
very
and the unique nature of the lot.
When are you starting over there?
Well, now we'll go, finish our drawings and get in for permits, so hopefully soon. They're excited.
Yeah, it's pretty over there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's so pretty. We always walk our dog over to Terrapin. It's just gorgeous. It is. It is.
Dan, are we likely to have a meeting next month?
Thank you all so much.
Have a great day.
We will not have any cases for next month.
Okay, so no meeting in June, so we'll see when the next one is. I'm not sure what the AV problems were today. I mean, when we've had Phil on the Zoom in the past, it worked perfectly
I
well.
know. That's why we keep saying, why can't we Zoom?
So I think if we do this again, we need to do it the way we did with Phil.
Yeah, we just had some upgrades to our system, and so we were trying to get them going this morning. But we'll make sure if we do have them virtual, they're working next time. If not, we'll make sure everyone's here in person.
Any other business, anybody?
Were we staying for that meeting afterwards?
We're not doing that.
Oh, we're not? Oh.
For FOIA reasons, we're not going to do the executive session. So.
We're not going to do it today, we're not going to do it ever.
We're not going to do it today. We will do it when there's proper notice, correct,
Okay.
Mac?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I was just confused by that because I thought we were staying. Now we're not staying. That's fine.
No, we're done.
Okay, we're done.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Can I just ask my non-conforming question now that we're